Hello, infographics class. I am sorry I won't be with you in the last class. I'll be traveling abroad, a trip I planned a long time ago. But I'll be looking forward to watching all of your videos. And anyway, today I'm going to talk about abstinence-only education and how it has collided with the purity culture in evangelical Christianity to really harm a lot of people. So I'm going to share my screen. And okay, I really quite liked the title because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and I got attached to it because the more I studied this topic, the more I realized how absolutely controlling and dominating this whole ideology is. And I am speaking from experience. This is how I was raised. So I do have a felt sense of this research, and so it was cathartic to write. And so hopefully this infographic is telling a story from the top down. Here's a view of the whole thing. And essentially my research started in looking for proof that the purity pledge ideology and movement that really ramped up in the 90s has harmed many, many women in specific ways that I read so many interviews about it, but I had a really hard time finding the data to make an infographic. So, but there is data. It's just not strong quantitative data to be found on the rates of PTSD, pain, anxiety, stress, flashbacks that women are dealing with as a result of living with the indoctrination of this message. And also the big one is shame. So essentially, these young people are asked by very influential people, their church communities, to pledge to God that they will not have sex until marriage. And these can be, 10-year-olds, right? So they pledge, and some of them would get a ring. And so I tried to show the ring here with the God over the man and the woman, which I thought also really illustrated how this was traumatizing for people who do not identify with this God as the head over a man and a woman kind of contract. So I was happy with those rings and sort of that image there. I was surprised to read that during the last decade, abstinence-only funding added up to more than $1.5 billion, and that researchers are finding that these purity pledges do not actually delay sex, and they increase shame. So here I wrote, pledging a vow to God to stay a virgin until marriage is meant to deter premarital sex. Congress spent $2 billion on abstinence-only education from 1982 to 2017. So abstinence-only education is totally correlated with the purity movement. It's that's a longer story, but there's really good books that describe how the evangelical church really decided to get more politically involved in politics around this time to craft this family ideal, this moral majority. And so research shows us now, we've had enough time to do some research and find out if this has worked, that it's a waste of our resources, and that's a lot of money. purity culture and abstinence-only education are in bed together, and the result is bad for women, especially. More women take this pledge than men. So here's my little graph, and it shows the percentage of adolescents who had premarital sex. On the left is the no pledge, the young ones who did not pledge to stay morally pure, which is problematic anyway, versus the ones who did pledge. And you see it's really close, but there's more to this story. So almost 100% of the non-pledgers had sex, and close to that who did pledge had sex. So you can imagine that the ones who did pledge were really conflicted about that. And not only were they conflicted about it, but it is quite dangerous because they are typically not educated about safe sex. So it was slightly reduced. And the reason for that, which I couldn't include in the infographic, is that some of these pledgers are genuinely sincere with their religious devotion to abstinence. And so taking that into account, but many of them are not, and they're just manipulated by this culture. So while premarital intercourse was slightly reduced, evidence suggests that purity pledge breakers are less likely than others to use contraception at first intercourse, and Congress-funded purity pledges are linked to religious trauma. So prohibition leads to impulsivity and shame. So 88% of pledgers had intercourse prior to getting married. 99 did not, or 99 did who did not pledge. And it's really important to note that pledge signers are not abstaining from sexual activity and are in fact engaging in riskier sexual behavior as a way for them to preserve their virginity. And these riskier behaviors to preserve this myth of purity have potentially serious individual and public health consequences. And they are positively correlated with higher teen pregnancies, which is down here in my infographic. So this graph I made in Google Sheets and uploaded it into my Canva infographic. And I realized that this gray text is light. I hope you can see it okay. I really could not figure out how to fix that. But anyway, the data here, I was really grateful to find. What this is teen pregnancies per 1,000. So the abstinence education level ranging from 0, which is no abstinence education. And so you can, so they're getting a sex education. Basically, they're learning about how to prevent pregnancy and disease and infection and how to use a condom and all of that. 1 is lowest, so they mention it as an option. 2 is some abstinence emphasis, and then 3 is most. And so according to level 0, there are few pregnancies per 1,000. Level 1 has the least amount, so a little bit of abstinence education. There's the least amount of teen pregnancies per 1,000. And then the higher the emphasis on abstinence get, you can see the positive correlation to more teen pregnancies. So the more strongly abstinence is emphasized in state education, laws, and policies, the higher the average teen pregnancy and birth rate are. So there's the whole thing. I want to just mention before I close, I forgot to time myself. I hope I'm doing okay on time, but ultimately, this messaging needs to go away. It should be a personal decision for women to choose if they want to wait for whatever reason, but it should not be tied to a person's morality or their self-dignity. And one of the researchers that wrote a really beautiful dissertation on the topic said that there's an insidious motivation behind the purity and abstinence rhetoric in that they aim to keep women and girls subservient and in need of guidance and protection from the church, father, and nation state. Teaching sexual education would empower women to make their own decision about their sexuality, which is why it is controversial. Um, that's not a direct quote, but essentially that is what she said in her dissertation. And I thought that was really powerful. So if you're wondering why this is even controversial, why are they still pumping so much money into an obviously flawed program? It's to control women and to essentially make us more dependent. And so anyway, I hope you enjoyed my infographic and my research. I'm really actually happy with how it turned out after not feeling very good about most of what I had produced yet. I thought that Canva was really helpful for me anyway. It felt like an intuitive process. So I will be using Canva for my future research papers to show data in a hopefully interesting, informative way. I really look forward to watching all of your presentations, everybody. Thank you so much.